Imagine waking up every single morning with just absolute clarity. You've got a set plan and, way more importantly, the unshakable discipline to actually follow through, no matter what. No procrastination, no endless doom scrolling in bed, just consistent, powerful action toward your goals. Sounds pretty amazing, right? Well, here's a little secret. That level of discipline, it isn't something you're just magically born with. It's something you actively train for. So welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really brilliant framework from Productive Insight called the Lotus Method. I found this absolutely fascinating because it's all about training your brain for maximum discipline and building that kind of self-control that highly successful people rely on, without needing to be some sort of superhero.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at motivation versus discipline. Then, we map it to plant growth, root for foundation, stem for self-control, bloom for deep focus, and thrive to sustain it all. Finally, we'll wrap up with a 7-day challenge. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Motivation versus discipline.
Look, if you've ever felt that massive frustration of starting a new goal incredibly strong, only to completely lose all your momentum like a week later, you are not alone. But this really breaks down a fundamental misunderstanding we all kind of have. We constantly chase motivation. But the thing is, motivation is really just a spark. It feels wildly exciting at first, sure, but it fades incredibly fast. It's literally like buying a brand new gym membership on January 1st, getting all the fancy workout gear, and then, quietly quitting by January 12th. Why does that happen? Because motivation is fundamentally unreliable. It depends entirely on your fleeting mood in that exact moment. Discipline, on the flip side, doesn't care how you feel, not even a little bit. It's that steady force that keeps you going even on the cold, rainy days when you absolutely do not feel like putting in the work. Real success isn't about working hard when you're struck by some sudden bolt of inspiration. It's about showing up consistently and reliably every single day.
Which brings us to the core concept we're exploring today, the Lotus Method. So the lotus flower is an incredibly unique plant. It grows in muddy, dirty water, yet it somehow rises above it all, completely untouched and pure. No matter how chaotic or murky its surroundings are, the lotus stays strong and blooms beautifully. And honestly, that is exactly how discipline needs to work in our lives. Because for us, that muddy water, that's a chaotic email inbox. It's endless TikTok scrolling. It's a noisy house or the constant pinging of group chats. You don't need crystal clear, perfectly quiet conditions to be productive. You don't have to fly off to some silent Zen retreat. You just need to learn how to train yourself to rise above those daily distractions and actually thrive right in the middle of all that chaos.
Section 2, Root. Foundation, building your mental strength.
Just like a plant, right? You cannot grow upward without some unseen foundational work beneath the surface. A lotus needs strong roots, and your discipline needs a solid mental foundation. First things first, you've got to find your why. If your reason for wanting discipline isn't deeply personal and profoundly strong, your discipline won't be either. You need a real purpose to keep you grounded when things inevitably get tough. Second, remove temptations. A lot of times we mistakenly think discipline is just about raw, agonizing willpower. It's really not. Your physical environment plays a massive role here. If your phone is sitting right next to you while you're trying to study, you're going to pick it up. If there are cookies in the pantry, you will eventually eat them. So take control of your environment. Physically unplug the TV before you go to bed or hide the snacks on the absolute highest shelf. You want to design your surroundings so that doing the right thing is actually the easiest option. And third, start with tiny habits.
I really loved this approach because it actively prevents that burnout we all dread. You do not need to overhaul your entire life overnight. That is pretty much a guaranteed recipe for failure. Just start with one. Seriously, do exactly one push-up a day. Wake up just 10 minutes earlier, not 2 whole hours. Read for exactly 5 minutes. These tiny, seemingly insignificant wins actually build massive momentum. It's exactly like compound interest, right? Small daily deposits yield astronomical results over time. By keeping the barrier to entry hilariously low, you kind of trick your brain into getting started. And before you know it, these tiny steps naturally evolve into much bigger, robust habits.
Section 3. STEM, self-control, pushing through friction.
Okay, so this is the stage where the lotus starts growing tall through that muddy water, which represents the active strengthening of our self-control against everyday friction. When you're growing your stem, you need practical tools to push through the mud. And I discovered one of the absolute best tricks out there is the 5-second rule. We have all been there, lying in a warm, comfortable bed on a freezing cold morning, actively negotiating with yourself about hitting snooze just one more time. Anytime you feel yourself hesitating like that, you just count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. This simple countdown acts as a neurological pattern interrupt.
It literally forces your brain to stop overthinking, bypass all your comfortable excuses, and immediately spring into physical action before fear or laziness can even take root. Now, alongside that countdown, your discipline stem gets way thicker and stronger when you practice delayed gratification. Think about it. When we instantly give in to a craving or a distraction the exact second it pops up, we're actually rewiring our brain's dopamine pathways for instant gratification. We're literally teaching ourselves that waiting is bad. So to build real discipline, we gotta flip the script by practicing the art of waiting. When you feel that overwhelming urge to check your social media, delay it for just 5 minutes. When you desperately want that sugary snack, just wait. By training your brain to sit with that mild discomfort and hold out for the long-term reward, you dramatically strengthen your self-control. You start to realize that the urge will pass, and you are the one in charge, not your impulses.
Section 4. Bloom. Deep focus. Time to maximize your output.
All right, so the stem has finally broken the surface of the water, and this stage is all about maximizing your output. A lotus blooms right when it reaches the surface, and for us, blooming means training your brain to stay entirely locked in on a single task, and the single most effective way to guarantee this is time blocking. You have to stop working whenever you feel like it or when you finally find the time. Instead, commit to highly specific time slots dedicated solely to deep work. And here is exactly why this matters so much. Studies show it takes an average of 23 minutes to completely refocus after a single smartphone interruption. 23 minutes. So during this time block, you turn off all notifications, you put your phone in another room, you commit to working with absolutely zero interruptions. Protecting your attention like this, that is where your actual high-level, life-changing output happens.
Section 5. Thrive. Sustain. Building long-term discipline. A lotus doesn't just bloom for a single day and then vanish, right? It continues to live and grow. Making discipline a permanent fixture in your life requires some strategy. First up, you have to track your progress. Keep a small notebook or just use a simple app on your phone to check off how disciplined you were each day. Actually seeing a streak of wins builds immense pride and serious forward momentum. But here's an incredibly realistic and honestly forgiving rule. Never miss 2 days in a row. Look, you're a human. You might get sick or have a terribly busy day and completely miss a day of your habit. That is totally fine. Missing 1 day is just an accident, but missing 2 days? That's the start of a brand new bad habit. The absolute key is to bounce back immediately the very next day so one slip-up doesn't send you spiraling all the way back to square one.
And that leads us to perhaps the biggest psychological shift in this entire framework. It's moving from saying, I am trying to be disciplined or I want to be more disciplined, to simply stating, I am a disciplined person. When you change your internal identity to see yourself as someone who naturally stays consistent, your actions will subconsciously start matching that new identity. You don't skip the workout or eat the junk food because, well, you're a disciplined person, and disciplined people simply don't do that. It stops being this exhausting daily battle of willpower and just naturally becomes a reflection of who you actually are.
Section 6. The 7-Day Challenge. Time to take action.
So here is how we can put this entire playbook to the test, starting today. Please don't overwhelm yourself by trying to fix everything at once. Pick just one habit. Maybe it's waking up 20 minutes earlier, reading a few pages of a book, or, getting a quick workout in. For the next 7 days, you're going to apply the 4 stages we just explored. Root, find your why, and proactively remove those temptations. Stem, use that 5-second rule the very moment you hesitate. Bloom, time block the habit so it actually gets done. And thrive, track it every single day for a week. And remember, if you miss a day, just don't miss twice.
So, the final question I want to leave you with is this. Which single habit will you commit to improving over the next 7 days? Don't let this be just another explainer you passively consume and quickly forget. Choose your habit right now. Plant the root, push through the mud, and watch yourself bloom. You've got the framework, the rest is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for exploring this with me.